even the chance. I am my cry. I am said and I am lost, and I can't even say why. Leaving me lonely still. Did you read about a father who dreamed of being a king? And they all became one, except for the name. A few other changes. You talk about me. The story is the same one. But I've got this emptiness deep inside, and it won't let me go. And I'm a man who don't like to swear, but I hate the sound of being alone. I am myself to no one there, and no one heard at all, not even the chair. I am my cry. I am said then I am lost, and I can't even say why. I am myself to no one there, and no one heard at all, not even the chair. I am my pride. I am said when I am lost, and I can't even say why. You're leaving me lonely still. The whispers in the morning of lovers sleeping tight, all rolling like the thunder now. As I look in your eyes, I hold on to your body and feel each move you make. Your voice is warm and tender, a love that I could not forsake. 'Cause you are my lady, I am your man. Whenever you reach for me, I'll do all that I can. Lost is how I'm feeling, lying in your arms, when the world outside's too much to take. That's all ends when I'm with you. Even though there may be time, it seems I'm far away. Never wonder where I am, 'cause I'm always by your side. You are my lady, I am your man. Whenever you reach for me, I'll do all that I can. We're heading for somewhere I've never been. At times I am fighting, but I'm ready to learn for the power of love. Mhm. The sound of your heart beating, you feel it move you, man. There's a feeling that I can't hold on. It's like years away. Ooh, you are my lady, and I am your man. Whenever you reach for me, I do all that I can. We're heading for somewhere I've never been. Mhm. At times I am frightened, but I'm ready to learn for the power of love. Ooh, the power.
Here I am. But what are we then? Are we talking about the mafioso? Well, like I said to anybody that criticised the fact that I'm coming to talk about this, I'm a journalist. It's in the public domain and it's topical, so I will speak about it. So let's go. Um, from what I understand, Mikey Spice was to do a concert last year. Don't know what happened, but the concerts were cancelled. No big deal. Yeah. I don't think there was any money lost in that. So he comes this year. The first, I wasn't really paying much attention. I must admit, I never went and I wasn't paying much attention to what was going on. But I do know that the first show it was a four-legged show, a tour. I do know that the first one was in Bradford, Yorkshire. I think it was in Bradford, but it was definitely in Yorkshire. And the first thing I knew, I was up late, I was up early hours of the morning, and I started to see these posts come out on social media saying, oh, that was a bad concert, I'll never go to that again. Oh, what? But they weren't really saying anything. But it piqued my interest. So now I'm tracking. I want to know what's going on. By the next day, I mean, it was like more over social media. They were saying that his behavior, Mikey Spice's behavior, wasn't very good, and the sound or the band, he was upset with what was going on, and he wasn't handling it well. and they just felt the whole concert, the whole show was a shambles. Okay, things happen. Things happen. And so there was a lot of upset people. The second show was in London at the Tudor Rose. I know friends that went there. Friends actually went there, but now I'm tracking now. I'm watching what's going on. A lot of people said that they had a good time, but the people that didn't have a good time were saying that they felt that Mikey's outbursts were unbearable. He was complaining about the sound, the PA system, and the band. Okay, but the way I looked at it, things do happen, and the criticisms weren't as bad as the criticisms in Yorkshire. Okay, so that's 2 shows out of the way. Then we came to the third show, which was in Birmingham at the O2. From what I hear about that show and posts I've seen on social media, a lot of people were quite happy with that show. In fact, I think that was the best show so far of the 3 that the 3, the 2 before and that one. It was the best show. Apparently the PA system went out a few times, but people still enjoyed the show. Luca D was on as well. Excuse. Sorry about that. I'm back. Anyway, so the third show at at Birmingham went quite well. There was quite positive feedback from that one. The PA system did go out a few times, but from what I heard, people did enjoy that one. Then came the 4th show. The 4th show, apparently, there was a no-show. Or was there a no-show? People paid their money, saw the great supporting acts, but there was no Mikey Spice. And sort of like digging into it, Mikey Spice was actually in Bristol. But from what I know about artists, and I do know some artists, when you are booked, you get your deposit. Before you get on stage, you get the balance of what you're to be paid for that show. That didn't happen. So, of course, Mikey did not do the show. And I want to big up the support artists because, whatever problems there were, they were troopers. They were troopers. The thing is, there was unhappy guests. There was unhappy ticket payers. You paid, I think it was about £45 for your ticket. The support acts were brilliant, but you didn't get the main act. I would be upset if that happened to me. And they've got no redress. They can't get their money back at all. They don't get their money back. Anyway, so there are questions, and I'm gonna put out the link because anybody can come up and anybody can come up. Anybody can come up when I finish my commentary. If they've got, were you there? Did you go to any of the shows? Did you enjoy the shows? Were you one of the people that enjoyed the shows? Were you one of the people that was very upset with what you got? From what I heard, there was a lot of upset. There was a lot of upset. with the outburst of Mikey Spice. But then again, you got to look at it on his side as well. His side would be, well, he's used to a certain thing. He's used to a certain standard when he's in Jamaica or wherever he does his tours. I'm just sort of trying to balance this out because we're being objective and we're being impartial here. He's used to a certain standard which he didn't get. But was he justified in having the outbursts, which upset a lot of people? That was one of the reasons why people felt that the show wasn't a good show. What I know about British artists, you wouldn't even know if British reggae artists, if there was a problem with the PA system or the sound, I've known artists, I've seen them, they just work with it. They work with it. They will never ever drop the mic. They will never ever cuss the crowd. But then again, did he really cuss the crowd? I wasn't there. Tell me about it. He's got a tendency to jest with people. Was he doing that at the time? Was that acceptable? He has made an apology. Let's play it. Let's play the apology. Just let me cue it up. And what do you think of it?
Hi, this is Mikey Spice. Just want to make something clear. For those who do not understand what happened over the weekend, that I should be here. I am here and I'm still here. I came for 4 shows. I ended up doing only 3. If you notice, my voice is not even there, but I'm trying to make it hard for you. For those who were there, for those who weren't there, I'm still here. I'm sorry that we didn't able to make one of the shows, and for my fans, my apology. I apologize in so many ways that I'm going to make it up for you next time I come back. But for right now, it's beyond my control. I have nothing to do with whatever it is. I still love you, and I hope you do the same. Love me back. See you next time.
So I just think that a minute ago my mic was on mute, and I don't know whether you heard everything that I said in the last segment, but what I did talk about was that there was a no-show in Bristol. Or was there a no-show? There are pictures that Mikey Spice did turn up in Bristol at the hotel. Usually when an artist, a British reggae artist, from what I know, once they're booked, they're given a deposit. And they get the balance before they get up on stage. And in this case, that didn't happen with Mikey Spice. So he decided, which, he's within his right, that he wasn't going to go on with the show. So that's the long and short of that. There were people very upset. I think I would be upset if I paid £45 for my ticket. I think that was the price of the ticket. If I paid £45 for my ticket and the main artist didn't show up, I mean, big up the support artists because they did their best. But obviously it wouldn't have, it was no consolation to the people who didn't get what they want, the main artist. Issues. Each leg of that tour was with a different promoter. Like each promoter, there was a promoter for Yorkshire, a promoter for London, a promoter for each one had a different. I mean, was this a problem? There was no uniform way of doing things. I mean, every man does his thing a little bit different, as in the song. But could this have been a problem? I don't know if that happens in the music industry when one artist comes over, several promoters do their own shows, because in this case, one didn't happen. And I was thinking, I was just trying to work it out from what I saw and from what people have said. There wasn't a full house in Bristol. I think Bristol is probably about an hour or so away from Birmingham. Maybe they all went to Birmingham and didn't think that, why would they want to go to a smaller venue in Bristol when they could have watched the whole thing in Birmingham? Was that a problem? If that was a problem, if that was an issue, then I'm sure that there is an issue with different promoters doing different shows. So, as I was saying, which I might have been muted when I was saying that a lot of people were disturbed and upset by, even when, like for instance, the London show. I mean, a lot of people were upset with the outbursts. And from what I understand, Mikey has got a tendency to jest. I mean, was he jesting? If you were there, come up, tell me. Tell me what you think. What was going on? What went on on this tour? Mikey has given an apology and he says he owes the UK for the next time. Is there going to be a next time? Is there going to be a next time? Will people go and see Mikey Spice again? Will they look at it as a risk? Because this show wasn't good, according to them. Whether a show was good or not on the tour, the comments and criticisms have marred the whole tour. But as I say, there's always two sides to a story, which is no consolation, again, for the people who lost their money in terms of they didn't get the main act. Mikey Spice might be accustomed to a certain standard, which he didn't feel that he was getting here in the UK. And that's no criticism on the band, but it does seem that there was a sound issue with the PA. And I did hear one of the support artists talking about it as well, that the PA was bad. Was there a sound check? I think a sound check is as important as the show. Did that happen? Come up and tell me if you were there, if you're a promoter, if you see the thing about it, it brings me, brings me to what used to happen back in the day. When back in the Lovers Rock times and, all these artists were coming up, you used to go to a club, enjoy the club. There were promoters, if you can call them promoters, and they would have the artist sing a song. And then when it came to paying them, they say, well, boy, we didn't make enough at the door. That sort of like rings those bells. And should that be happening to an artist like Mikey Spice? Whose fault was it? Where were the issues? And if we know the issues, maybe it would never happen again. Where there was Birmingham too close to Bristol, so everybody went to the Birmingham one and thought, no, I'm not going to the Bristol one. Apparently, I think the Bristol original venue, was a bigger venue, but because the tickets weren't being sold, they went to a smaller venue. I mean, they were all on one weekend, very close together. Yorkshire being the first one, sort of, or was it a fact that Yorkshire was the first one, so people were just looking to criticize? As I said, although there were criticisms, I've had friends that also went to the shows, a couple of the shows, and they had a good time. Plus, I have seen positive. I mean, did the negative outweigh the positive? Did the negative outweigh the positive? And was Mikey Spice, his behavior justified? Because he felt he was used to a different standard. And he has apologized. Will you accept his apology? Will you accept his apology if you went and you lost money? So come up. If you're there, the link's dropped. I'll drop it again. Come and chat. Don't be shy. Just come up and chat about it. We're all good here. We're all good here. And in the meantime, I think I'll play some music while people decide whether they want to come up or not. Hey, Grenada. Hi, how you doing? Yeah. Just 1 minute.
are the eyes that never knew how to smile till you came into my life. And these are the arms that long to lock you inside every day and every night. Girl, and here is the soul of which you take in control. Can't you see I am trying to show love is right? Oh, show and tell, just the game I play when I wanna say, oh, what I do. Oh, show me, tell me, you feel the same way they do. These are the hands that can't help reaching for you anywhere you are inside. And these are the lips that can't help calling your name in the middle of the night. Oh, and here is the man who needs to know where he stands. Don't you know I have done all I can, so decide. Oh, show and tell, just the game I play when I wanna say, oh, girl, I love you. Oh, show me, tell me, you feel the same way they do. Here is the soul of which you take in control. Can't you see that I'm trying to show love is right? Oh, show and tell, just the game I play when I wanna say, oh, what I do. Oh, show me, tell me, you feel the same way they do. Show and tell, just the game I play when I wanna say, oh, what I do. Oh, show me, tell me, you feel the same way they do.
Show and tell, show and tell. I love that tune. You know what? I must admit that I didn't really know that much about Mikey Spice. But since, and this is with an artist friend of mine as well, she didn't know that much about Mikey Spice. I mean, you hear about Mikey Spice, but follower, no. That's why this is impartial and objective. There's no dog in this fight. Not that it's a fight, but so many people are talking about it. But since I have since all this has gone on, I have listened to a few of his tunes, and I mean, he may not be my favorite artist, but he's good, and he is a professional, and he's been in the game for a very long time. So that's why the question is, was he treated the way he felt that he should be treated? That seems to be an issue. He wasn't happy with the PA system. What was wrong with the PA system? Do you know? Were you there? The band was criticized. Did they have a sound check? Was there a relationship? Were you in the band? Come up, let's chat about it. Were you one of the ones that enjoyed the shows? Come up, let's chat about it. Were you the one that was dissatisfied with the shows? Come up and tell us why. We're all good here. We're all friends here. We just want to break it down, chop it up, and see what went wrong. Were you a promoter? Come up, let's chat about it. Were you the Bristol promoter that was unable to deliver or fulfill the contract? Is there more to that? Come up, let's talk about it. But as I said, Mikey, he did make an apology. And what do you think of his apology? Are you accepting it? Let's play it again and see what Mikey says.
Hi, this is Mikey Spice. Just want to make something clear. For those who do not understand what happened over the weekend that I should be here, I am here and I'm still here. I came for 4 shows. I ended up doing only 3. If you notice, my voice is not even there, but I'm trying to make it hard for you. For those who were there, for those who weren't there, I'm still here. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to make one of the shows, and for my fans, my apology. I apologize in so many ways that I'm going to make it up for you next time I come back. But for right now, it's beyond my control. I have nothing to do with whatever it is. I still love you, and I hope you do the same. Love me back. See you next time.
So I think that was quite sincere. I think that was quite a sincere apology. He said that it was beyond his control. It was beyond his control, and there's nothing that he could do about it. The only thing that I would be concerned about with what he said is because people were so incensed, quite a few people. He says he's going to come back and make it up to the UK. Will he be accepted in the UK again as, an artist? And will the same thing? I mean, will he sell tickets? Because it's all about selling tickets. Will he be able to sell tickets, after what's happened? And I've spoken to loads of people and they say, and I mean, look, there's always problems. They could be problems with shows like band and artists not gelling. Well, I don't know about band and artists not gelling, but there's dissatisfaction with big artists like Rihanna and Beyonce, but people still go to their shows. So I don't know, I mean, is it different here? I mean, their shows are a lot more money. I mean, but I'm not saying that it's about the money. It's about the them feeling they wanted to see him. They wanted to see the show, but they paid their money and they got the support artists who worked very, very hard. They were very, they worked with the same PA system. That's what I was saying, that British artists, you wouldn't even know they had a problem. They would still go along with what was going on and they would work with it. They may complain later, but the show must go on, and I mean, we can look at Mikey as well, even though he was having problems with the PA system and maybe the band. I don't know what the issues were with the band. He still turned up to every show that he got paid for. He still did it, I don't know if sound checks. Well, I've been to big shows like with the Stylistics, and I know that the shows, I mean, they literally, their sound checks are literally as long as a show. They go through everything. The sound is set up properly. The PA system is on point. And it does seem, because there was a problem with the PA system at every venue, it does seem that the PA system wasn't on point here. So if the PA system wasn't on point, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Is it the, it can only be the promoter's fault, really. So if you're a promoter, it doesn't have to be on this show. Please come up. Let's have a chat. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what goes in to making a show and where and what could have gone wrong here. Like I said, every leg of that tour was a different promoter. So some were good and others weren't so good. So Yorkshire had a problem, but was it the promoter's fault in the PA system? I don't know. And then there was the London show. I did see the promoter come on stage and have to address the crowd. That wasn't part of the show. The O2, Lukey D was actually on stage in that one. And even though the PA system yet again cut out, it was a good show. And I think the majority of people enjoyed it. But then the Bristol show, I mean, it was meant to be, usually the end of the show, the artist's last show, you would imagine that to be a brilliant show. Hello, Karen. Hi. You would imagine that to be a brilliant show, but in this one, Mikey didn't get on stage. Mikey didn't get on stage because his contract was not fulfilled, meaning that when you book an artist, you get your deposit, then you're booked. The artist is not going to do anything else on that day. He's booked. That's good. And he gets the remainder of the money. He gets the remainder of the money on the day of the show before he gets on stage. This didn't happen. So Mikey was in his right. I mean, or should he just done the show because he was in the UK? Should he have just done the show then to satisfy the crowd? Was it his responsibility just to do the show and then talk about it afterwards? He's a professional, and professionals get paid for what they do. So Mikey decided it wasn't up to him. I mean, his hand was forced and he wasn't going to do the show, and he didn't do the show. So, I mean, the people that did go to Bristol, I was told that they won't get anything back. They won't get anything back. The support artists, I think at the Bristol, I think Peter Spence was one of the support artists. I believe Shardell Roden was on the stage. And I think there was some other, Frederica Tibbs, I think, that did that, and Winston Moncrief, and they really held up. They were probably having PA system problems as well, but they, like I said, the British artists, they work with it and you wouldn't know. They may complain about it afterwards, but they really worked with that. They didn't stamp and get abusive or have an outburst. But like I said, repeating again, were his outbursts justified? Now, come on and hit the link. Come on and hit the link and tell me if you were there. If you were there at one of the shows, if you enjoyed the show, come up, let's talk about it. What was good about it? Are you sick of all these people complaining? If you was one of the ones who went to the show and were disturbed and upset by Mikey's outbursts, come up, let's talk about it. If you felt that even if you did try to enjoy it, but the PA system was bad and the band wasn't gelling with the artists, come up, let's talk about that. Did you enjoy the support artists? Were they a compensation for Mikey? I think that they were, in the sense that, yeah, you may not have got the main act, but you did get something, and they did work hard with the same PA system that seems to have been going wrong throughout the whole tour. Do you want your money back? Have you been asking for your money back? Do you think you're entitled to your money back? I mean, I don't know how these concerts work. I don't know whether there is any chance of anybody getting their money back. I don't know how it works. I don't go to that many concerts, where I have paid good money for certain shows, and they've always happened and they've always been professional. What did we treat Mikey as the professional that he deserved to be treated as. Did we do that? But, you know, I mean, like I'm saying, people are getting upset as well about talking about this. When I said that I was going to do this show, there were people who was going, oh, no, I'm not going to get involved in that. What we're dealing with, the mafioso. Like I said, it's topical. It's public. I'm a journalist and I'm going to speak about it because other, you know, why should we throw it underneath the carpet? Let's hash it out, get it out. If you've got to say something, say something. Why are people too shy? Hit the link. People aren't even hitting the link. And I know there's people in the room, even if you're in the clouds, come up and talk about what you know or how a show should be. I mean, would you have done the show differently? I personally don't know how these shows work, but I do feel that it may have been a bit disjointed because every show was done by a different promoter. So there was no uniform way of doing things. Come up, let's talk about it. Are you a promoter? You don't need to, you know, it doesn't mean that you've promoted on this show. But if you're a promoter and you think that bringing an artist over and every leg has a different promoter is a good idea, come, let's talk about it. If you think it's a bad idea, come, let's talk about it. Hit the link's there, and you can come up and say your piece. Like I said, we're family here. If you haven't seen any of my shows before, we're family here. We talk, we're not judgmental. And, you know, we're objective and impartial here. Yeah, that's the way we work. So come up and talk about this. Just kicking a dog out the way. not literally. Please don't report me to the RSPCA. I really do look after them. Yeah. So you know, I'm even thinking that people not hitting the link, they're sort of like scared to talk about it. So they just want to be social media bandits and talk about it on social media and complain on social media and cry on social media, but you can't come up and talk about it. You know, let's you know, just hash it out. You know, because an artist, in a sense, I was wondering, my thoughts, yeah. Yes, if I paid my money and I didn't get what I want, especially if I didn't see the artist, I would be very upset. Definitely very, very upset. But you're only as good in my industry, which is media, mainstream. You're only as good as your last. Here's somebody here. Come on. Yeah. Hey, how are you? I can't. You're muted.
I've unmuted it. You hear me? I've never done this.
Oh, right. Hey, how are you? Yeah.
Yeah, I just
I'm good.
I'm a promoter. I've done promotion.
You're muted.
I've unmuted it. You hear me?
Your YouTuber. Hey, how are you? Yeah. On the StreamYard.
I'm a promoter. I've done promotion. You're muted. I've unmuted it. You hear me?
Your YouTuber. Yeah, because you're echoing right now.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay.
So the issue, it seems like you as a promoter, yeah. Mikey did his tour and he did a 4-leg tour. The first leg of the tour was in Yorkshire. Just to recap for those who have just come in and those who haven't seen it. The first leg of the tour was in Yorkshire. I heard the early hours of the morning, I heard, oh my God, I would never go to that show again. It's really bad. Oh, it was disgusting, this, that, and the other. So I'm thinking, oh, so now I'm tracking. You know, I want to know what's going on. Because they weren't really saying anything. I didn't know what had gone wrong. So by the next day, it was all over social media. And it was the fact that he had outbursts. The PA system weren't working and he wasn't gelling, it seems, with the band. That seemed to be the issue of the Yorkshire one. So people were, there was more negative, there was positive criticisms, but there was more negative than positive. So the next one was the London one, which was at the Tudor Rose. Although I had friends that went to that one and they quite enjoyed it. But at the same time, again, Mikey had some outbursts. And again, the PA system wasn't brilliant. it wasn't working for him as well as it should have, and maybe some band issues as well. So that was that one. It wasn't as bad as the Yorkshire one. And then there was the third one, which is at the O2. Lukey D was one of the supporting acts. And although the PA system cut out a few times, people did enjoy that concert. I mean, I would say that the majority of the criticisms were positive. Then there was the third one, which was the fourth leg, which was Bristol. And there was a no-show.
From
But
Mikey?
yeah,
From
there was a
Mikey?
no-show from Mikey, yeah. But Mikey was in Bristol. The issue was that his contract was not fulfilled. So he got his deposit to be on the show. And then when it, before they go on, they get the balance of what they, but he could, that wasn't paid. So therefore, and just one significant thing, because you used to promote shows, is that so Mikey was brought over and every leg of that tour was a different promoter.
Do you want me to speak on the things that you've just outlined?
Yeah, just tell me what you're welcome to your opinion. Here.
Right. Well, first of all, what I'm going to speak about regarding different promoters, it's not an opinion. I'm going to tell you how it works in the real industry, because from everything that I've heard so far, it was very done quite unprofessionally. There was no continuity. It's like making a movie. You work in that industry, my sister. Programs, movies, it's the same, it's production. And if there's different locations, there has to be some kind of continuity. There has to be communication by the different production, and also if Mikey, I don't know if he did it, but he's supposed to have a plan he's supposed to have his own production team that's producing the show. If he knew he was doing all those tours, because it seemed like it was shoddy from both sides, if you ask me, just my opinion right now, because I didn't see how it was all planned out, but it's supposed to be planned out meticulously prior to anything happening. I can see straight away that there was no rehearsal, because if there was, there would have been sound checks, there would have been all of that would have happened beforehand, and any kinks would have been ironed out. So it's quite clear that sound checks weren't really done, or maybe there could have been people being changed. I don't know about, but there should have been sound checks at every leg prior to the show. And as a result of that, that would have caused a lot of what you explained about PA systems cutting out, because really and truly, he's supposed to have a tour manager as well. From what you've shown me, I don't think he had a tour manager, because if he had a tour manager, he wouldn't have had an outburst on the stage. He wouldn't have not got paid for doing it. See this with our people, right? When there's an opportunity to do things sometimes, and you're getting your money up front, the money that you're getting up front is supposed to include your per diem from a promoter, as well as your production fees. These are the kind of things that are supposed to be dealt with on any real professional promotion. These things in advance. It's quite clear from what I've heard already from yourself, Janie, that none of that happened. And it was just done, thinking, okay, I'll keep all of this for myself and I'll just go there. And what did he expect that they would do all of that work? Never going to happen. Production is key. We know this. Media.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, production is definitely key, because if I'm doing a documentary or whatever, we have
pre-production, storyboards. It's the same thing, same principle.
I'm wondering you have a budget.
Exactly.
And you have to work to that budget. And usually there's a contingency with the way I work. There's a contingency in case anything goes wrong. So could this be the issue, that there wasn't enough in the budget for the things that you said?
There wasn't enough in the budget. You can just tell from what you've said. It's quite clear there wasn't enough in the budget. Everything was done very, shall I say the word? Yeah, I will say it, cheaply. That's what it sounds like to me. And then if you're not getting the quality, because normally when I used to put on events, I would have an engineer right there. I mean, Jane used to come to my, I had engineer, I had sound checks, I had floor managers, I had people working, making sure that the artists were in where they're supposed to be, everything. It's a production. And if you don't have that, and no communication even between different promoters, or at least some kind of storyboard, We call it a storybook because I know in the industry they call it a story, but that's what you have. It's the same thing when you're producing a show. You have to have a standard, a basic, like what's it going to look like for every stop that I make.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that this idea of different promoters, I mean, they were trying to make it worth his while. So one person
they're not professional. They're not professional, Jane. So you're not going to get what you might get from the O2. You might not get that from whatever the local venue was. I don't know. You know, what caliber of promoters were they? That's the thing. What caliber? Is it just someone that puts on dances and kind of like events? Or is it someone that's a real promoter that brings artists over, knows about production, you know, creating a whole storyboard, everything, you know, liaising with the artist beforehand, asking what, you know, what their vision is for the show, or who's your production team? What's the vision? You're supposed to have a vision. Without a vision,
I think there should have been, you know, working, you know, how I work in the industry. I mean, not the music industry, but the TV industry.
No, but it's the same principle.
There has to be some form of liaison.
Of course, there has to be
liaison. Like you said, if there's different promoters, it's not like it's your turn now.
Absolutely,
it's your turn now, and you do your bit. You do. They have to work together, and
you have to have continuity. It's like making a movie. You have to have it. Otherwise, it's just going to flop. Which is
so who. So does that mean to say that the PA system not work? I did read. Okay, I did read a post where one of the promoters talked about it, and he said it was a Tudor Rose actually, and it was it was the Tudor Rose, the promoter that was responsible for that. You had ticket payers, you know, crowd waiting outside for over an hour because that Tudor Rose had double booked. So they had someone in there before, and so no one could set up. They had a very short time to set up when they got in there.
Now, again, unprofessional. And what kind of contract did he have? Because when you have a contract with a promoter, all of that's supposed to be factored in. There can be nobody performing a certain period of time before you get on that stage. That's standard for the real industry. I'm not, you know, for just, you know, the basic, but no, that's when you're not working with professionals, unfortunately. So it seemed like there was one, because maybe he might have got the O2, because that's Live Nation, right? O2 is Live Nation, yes? Right?
Well, yeah, okay.
That's more professional. So you would have had, from what I'm hearing is like a mixture of different standards of promoters. You see what I'm saying? It's like, and then if you're going to do it from, because basically they must have piggybacked off of him doing the bigger show with the more professional promoters, but they didn't raise their standards to the same standard. Maybe, obviously, they would cater for people that probably couldn't afford, maybe whatever, or couldn't get to those places, you know.
Well, from what I know, I don't know what the venue was in Bradford. Maybe somebody can come up and tell me, or they can put it in the chat. I don't know what that was, but then you've got the same artist going to the venue in Bradford, whatever that was. I don't know what venue that was. Then you had the Tudor Rose.
On the same day, or
no, the next day. I mean, they were all over the bank holiday weekend, I believe. And then you had the O2.
Exactly.
I mean, the O2 Tudor Rose. I mean, come on now.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. The two different worlds. And furthermore, if it was, I was his manager, and obviously we know the Tudor Rose is not O2. And it's probably not the same caliber, probably didn't get the same kind of contracting. I would have just booked him for a PA there and said, okay, whatever you're doing that night, you can give me the money to just do a PA.
You can't do that, though. You can't do that, can you? You can't get this big artist from Jamaica come over and then...
Well, unfortunately you can't, but should it have been at Tudor Rose then? Because obviously...
It's Rio Grande in Bradford. It's Rio Grande. It was Rio Grande in Bradford, yeah.
But it's quite clear that Tudor Rose couldn't manage it. They couldn't manage it. Could they? Maybe
Tudor Rose, in fact, Tudor Rose, I know people who went to the Tudor Rose one, and I'd had more, the comments I'd seen are more positive in the Tudor Rose.
Okay.
Bradford wasn't good at all.
Oh.
Wasn't good at all. Tudor Rose wasn't bad, although he had outbursts. What about Mikey then, having the outbursts then?
What were the outbursts about?
Just
Exactly.
about the sound, it's not working. You
Well,
know,
that's on him as well. That's on him as well, because he.
yeah, but people thought that he was, you know, he said things that were not appropriate. Do you know what I mean? He said inappropriate things, you know, to the crowd. But you've got to admit that, you know, when we both know artists here, and if something wasn't right with the sound, they will never stop, you know, mid song or anything like that. They would just carry on. They may have a little hissy fit afterwards, but they are troopers and they will carry on.
But shall I tell you where that comes from? Where that comes from?
But let me just say this: he did have some hissy fits, and they felt that he was abusive. Some people felt he was abusive. Come up, whoever, you know, was there and saw that. But at the same time, from what I hear, is that he is prone to jest with people, you know, have jokes. So, you know, I just want somebody to come up and say, did it seem like he was having a joke, really? But and they just weren't having the joke. You know, was it that? But all in all, I think that the reason, I mean, his career here, because he has made an apology, and I did play the clip of his apology, but he said he owes, you know, he's sorry, this, that, and the other, and, you know, I owe you for next time. That sort of, it was in that sort of vein. But I don't know if people would buy tickets, if he would sell tickets on his own.
I was just going to say one thing. Was that Tudor Rose show before or after all the disasters that had already happened?
It was the second show.
And so, the first show was?
Yorkshire, Rio Grande.
And that went well, the Rio Grande? Did that go well? Right, I think he was still a bit frustrated from that one. And the sound not working very well, because, again, he's got no one to bounce that off of. It's quite clear that he didn't have a tour manager, because normally tour managers are supposed to take care of that. They're supposed to get to the venue before the artist even gets there to make sure everything's all working fine, making sure that there's a sound check, all of these things. So when you cut out that vital aspect of your tour, you're looking for trouble. That's what I'm going to say on that. He saved money by not factoring in a tour manager, but then at the same time, your shows.
He saved money. He saved money.
Because that should come out of the budget.
No, it wouldn't have been him, would it? It wouldn't have been him. He
no,
did.
I've
just heard. I've just seen in the comments. He did have a tour manager.
So what was the tour manager doing then with all these shows? You know what the tour manager job is? Like, come on. What was the tour manager doing? Can anyone let me know what the tour manager was doing? Apart from collecting the money, because that's what their job is as well. Apart from collecting the money, what were they doing regarding making sure that everything, like the sound was working, that, you know, sound checks are taking place, and there's all the boxes are being ticked, that everything is working pristinely? What was the tour manager doing?
I know the thing. I don't know whether they had a sound check at the O2. That should have been a perfect show, as far as I'm concerned. Because with the other venues, okay, there was an issue with the Tudor Rose. They couldn't get in on time. That seems like a bodge up anyway. Yeah. There shouldn't have been a problem at the O2. Sound check. System problem at the O2. There shouldn't have been.
There shouldn't have been. And what I'm saying, there's two things. If he did the sound checks for O2 and he knew the band that he was going to be working with, because normally you're supposed to know what band. Normally the Rough Cut Band, if I remember correctly, in reggae music, the Rough Cut Band were the house bands for all Jamaican artists. I don't know if that's changed nowadays. Because a lot of things have changed and a lot of things have been made, what can I say? I mean, maybe they're older now. They're elder guys now, I guess. Rough Cut, some of them.
No, but the Rough Cut still exists.
That means really and truly to pay for Rough Cut. Like I said, I feel like some money's been cut somewhere. The spending's been cut, because really and truly you should have had the top, which is Rough Cut for someone like Mikey Spice. And most Jamaican artists work very well with Rough Cut Band. That's the in-house band for all reggae shows, even in Europe, Summer Jam, all them shows. So that's why I'm wondering what happened there. Something happened. Something definitely happened there. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can't really give a full-gone conclusion because I don't know all the ins and outs and the facts of everything. I can only speak on what you've shared with us today, Jamie.
I mean, what is? I don't know. Do you when something happens like this, the Bristol one, he didn't get the balance of his money, and the people didn't get Mikey. They didn't get Mikey. Do they get their money back? Do they get anything back? Are they entitled to anything like that?
Oh, normally, if a show is cancelled outright prior to the performance, they would be entitled to get their money back. Now, his contract with the people, then he because he didn't get his money up front, you know, I don't really see that. Normally venues, real venues, you said is that the one in Bradford, did you say? Your voice, sorry.
The one in Bristol. The one in Bristol. That's where they didn't. That's where they didn't. He didn't show up. He didn't show up, but he did show up because he was in the hotel. But I mean, was he in his right to? Should he have just done the show, or?
Well, contractually speaking, he is within his rights, because if they don't get their money, they don't have to do it. I mean, I've heard of other artists in other islands and different places doing that, and it's causing, because the promoter doesn't want to give all the money. You know why? Do you know why that happens? Was that venue, Bristol, was that at you know, like an O2 venue, or was it just a normal?
Well, see, this is the issue as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should have been cancelled before it started. So that
exactly.
The reason why is because from what I've heard, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, somebody could come up and tell me that I'm wrong and you know, give all the facts, because this is, you know, I may not be talking facts. Don't shoot the messenger. From what I heard, it was meant to be at an O2. It was meant to be at an O2, but because the tickets weren't selling, they brought it down to another venue, a smaller venue, which didn't get packed at all.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say, Janie. That's the only reason why they held that back, because they did, and that is very unprofessional. That's not Mikey Spice's fault. Now you've just clarified that for me. That is on the promoters, right? And they took the people's money. The least you could do is give it back. If you knew that you didn't fill the venue, so they basically, that's nothing to do with Mikey Spice, Jane. They knew they couldn't fulfill the original capacity that they must have thought that they could, because obviously, again, they're trying to piggyback off all the other promoters. It's obvious that they didn't do their promotion in Bristol because they were probably, you know, relying on whatever was already going on. You know, what leg of the tour was the Bristol one?
The last.
There you go. So you see, they were trying to piggyback off of everything else, thinking that it would all just work out. And it's obvious they're not very professional, because if you know, the last day is when you're going to get the least people. That's for sure. A lot of people from country love.
I think the finale is usually very big. I think the finale sometimes is the one that everybody wants to go to, because that's the end of the show. You know, we're all.
But it's in Bristol. It's not in London. It's in Bristol. It's a small town.
Do you know what? The other thing that I thought, please hit the link if you want to come up and give your opinion. You want to come up and chat. Were you there? Did you enjoy it? Were you there? Did you not enjoy it? Have you got an opinion of the way the show was promoted? Have you got an opinion the way Mikey Spice addressed the crowd and his hissy fits? You know, let's all talk about it. You know, you're welcome to come up and hit the link. Come on, it's free.
I'm going to get off here for now. So, you know, I'm just going to get off here for a minute. I'm saying it, but I've got something to do here. But I just wanted to chime in with that little bit of, you know, just to give those listening an idea of how things really are supposed to be.
But one thing that I just wanted to ask you, what next for Mikey Spice? What should happen? Will he sell it? Because he says
I feel like Mikey on his end needs to get things in order, production-wise, like his vision, and do the liaising, like you said, the communication and liaising, to make sure that, and also to find out, really get pictures, because if we're going to do productions, we have photographs of the venue, what the stage looks like, so you're going to have to put a plan in place prior to doing it, and then making sure that he book has a proper tour manager. Even though he had one, that was only collecting the money from what I'm hearing, because they didn't do any of that other work in between. Because if they did, a lot of what you just explained earlier wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have been so frustrated that he got on the stage and started an abusive. Because most artists are supposed to be taken care of by their tour manager. That's their job. The artist is not supposed to have no headache about no sound check-in and none of that stuff. So the tour manager probably needs to be maybe trained a bit so that they know exactly what, or maybe go on Google and find out what the job title of a tour manager is and what it entails.
But apparently this guy, the tour manager, has done other shows before, you know, and I think they've been okay. But that just brings me again to, and I know you've got to go, that brings me again to maybe, you know, the fact that, you know, there was 4 different promoters for one artist was a bit too much. You know, it was a bit too much. And the people that lost out were the people that bought their tickets.
Unfortunately, that's quite sad actually, because again, you can see that was like a piggybacking. He did it too, I have to say. As the artist, he just thought, oh, I'm just going to get extra money, but instead he got headache. Instead of more money, he got his half his money, and then he just dusted out. And the people, he even said it himself that he owes the people, so he knows that.
But if he didn't pay him, if the promoter didn't pay him, yeah, promoters do have a responsibility. Yes, they do have a responsibility. If the promoters didn't pay him, right, there must be some money left. There must be some money in the pot. What should happen with that?
Well, no, they didn't make
they didn't make it all, but he didn't have enough to pay him all of it, but he must have some of it.
But you know something? It's quite clear that this promoter probably hasn't done that many shows before to know that you do need to have what you said, a contingency budget. And he was thinking, all he saw was, oh, this is the venue, this is how much money I'll make. Just sell the tickets and everyone's going to come because it's Mikey Spice. And probably doesn't know that as a promoter, you're supposed to do promotion. You're supposed to do test marketing. You're supposed to liaise with the production company. You're supposed to know how the other shows did prior to them coming to you. And then what's your reach? What's your reach in Bristol itself?
But the tour manager, Sandra Cross says the tour manager did do his job.
Okay, so what happened with the sound checks and stuff with that part there?
I don't know. I mean, but he was only responsible. I mean, the tour manager
and the equipment, because they're supposed to check the equipment, make sure the sound checks are all done, and they can tick the boxes and say, yeah, the sound's working well. This is the equipment that's being used. In fact, normally when you put in a request to the promoter, you're supposed to say what type of equipment that you want to work with, to be honest. That's if you're dealing with two and people like that. So that's why I'm a bit confused. If the tour manager did his job, there shouldn't have been any of that going on there with the equipment and the PA. That's all I'm saying.
Do you know what? I don't think and I think this is so topical because I haven't heard this happen with any other. I mean, it may have, but you know, talked about on social media. I haven't heard this happen to any other Jamaican artist that's come over here. Not recently, anyway. Not as bad as this. A whole tour with problems.
Because it wasn't put together, like you said, it wasn't put together in I could tell there was no real linkage going on there. You know, the big promoter, little promoter. Big promoter doesn't talk to little promoter. It doesn't go like that, James. With O2s don't go to the local corner venue.
I think maybe a tour manager, but like Sandra said, he did his job, but he should oversee every show.
Definitely.
You know, he should oversee every show. As far as I'm concerned, like we said, you know, there may have been issues in some of the smaller venues, but usually you have the same roadies. The shows I know, you know, the big shows I know, you have the same roadies, same PA system. They get there before the artist. They set it up, test it out, sound check. Each show is sound checked. It doesn't matter Each show is sound checked and everybody's happy.
Right.
But
And that's how
somehow
it's supposed to go.
that didn't happen.
Exactly. So
I
where
don't
was
know.
communication? Where was the disconnect? These are some questions. Where was the disconnect? Why wasn't, even though maybe they're small venues, but we still need to do the sound, check the sound equipment. We need to check those things, even though it's just a little venue. Don't get upset if it's not working. If it hasn't, the checks haven't been done, and the box is ticked.
And the other thing that's happening is now that people say, well, it wasn't that promoter, it was that promoter. That wasn't my show. That was your show. That was this show. That was this show. Do you know what I mean? So there's no uniform. There's no one. The Mikey Spice tour wasn't just a one. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't just one thing. It was that it was broken up. And I think that
I get that.
Problem. That may be a problem. I think that will.
I mean, I get that. However, like back in the day, obviously, you have like what you used to have was rank. Remember, you used to have tours going across the UK. They will be done through one sort of booking agency, one set of promoters that manage all these venues. That's how it used to be. It used to be all very connected. But now, because again, you're dealing with a niche market industry. Reggae music is a niche market, so you're not going to have the same kind of connectedness that you would have with some other genres, and it's just unfortunate that, again, I definitely feel like not every promoter has the same experience as the other. I can just sense it. The one that you said that was expecting tickets to sell and it didn't, that's the sign of someone who's just come in the business the other day. That's a big sign for me. That's a big red flag. That's just come the other day. Somebody who's probably done a few little small events, maybe put on some small.
I don't think it was.
Do you think that was a big promoter that's got a history?
I think they've got a background.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they're part of a group that has a background in it. But if it was one promoter, I guess that they could have helped sell the tickets. Do you know what I mean? They could have helped the other promoters.
No, it doesn't work like that, Jane. They don't care about that. They want to care about is their show. They're not interested. Unless they're connected like Live Nation, it's not going to work like that.
You want a successful shows, yes, but you want a successful tour.
But was it all organized in one room then, or in one space? When they spoke, did all the promoters sit down around the table? Probably not.
We've got Zoom.
That would have helped. Exactly, that would have helped. That would have helped if they all. Again, that would have had to have come from Mikey's management side. That would have had to come from Mikey's side, in order to make that happen. To have that joint meeting, because it's in one island called England. Come on, it could have happened. That could have definitely happened. And maybe it's a good lesson.
It says in the end, it is his name on it, so he should be making sure everything is happening. No, people won't say, I ain't booking with that promoter. It will be, I'm not getting Mikey Spice tickets.
Exactly.
But I don't think that it shouldn't be his responsibility. Nothing should be his responsibility. Nothing.
It shouldn't have been, but it depends on your team. If he had a proper team, like I said, the production, the tour manager, the manager, if you have your team, then it doesn't fall on you, because there's always some kind of accountability along the line. But if the only person that they can talk to when it comes to being accountable is him, then it's all going to fall on him. And that's where I can kind of see where his frustration would have kicked in by the second show, because they must have all been coming to him. I mean, when I'd love was it Sandra, if you could just tell us a bit more about when you said that the tour manager did his job, like what exactly did that entail from his side, from that team side? I'd love to hear how that works. Obviously they have to book hotels, I know that's the basics, but when it comes to the more technical side, how was that dealt with? That's what for each venue.
The tour manager, you're saying that the tour manager should have been ahead on every venue. He should have been over, even though they had different promoters.
Yes.
He should have been over every venue.
Yeah, even if it's on the same day, like say if they got to that city that morning, that same time, even if he had to leave Mikey at the hotel, he should have gone straight to that venue and checked everything. Everything should have been done, even as much in advance as possible. That's all I can say. I'm not, the logistics. I'm not sure of all the logistics.
So he should have been over Yorkshire. He should have been over Bradford, London, Bristol. Should have been over it, and that means that then that Bristol concert should have been cancelled before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when they knew that there was no tickets selling, when did they know that the tickets weren't selling? Why was it left until the last minute? It's just certain questions. Like thinking and hoping and praying that people would just turn up. Yeah, there you go, Empress. Yeah, there you go. And again, that's the tour manager has to oversee all of that. What Empress is saying.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate, because I think there was a lot of people looking forward to the show, and I just feel that it would put a little stain on his reputation here.
And also, was there promotion? Like, did he do any local radio interviews in those different places that he went to? Bradford, Bristol. Was he on the radio prior to the show? Even a live link in Jamaica or whichever town he did? Was there anything like that? Just to let the people know, yeah, I'm here, kind of thing. His PR team or whatever did that.
I'm not sure. I'm not. Yeah. I didn't actually hear anything.
Yeah, because
I'm not saying that he hadn't, but
a promotions and marketing plan put into place, strategies that are used in order to let the people know that Mikey Spice is here. And if you don't understand how the industry works and how media works and how powerful it is and what you can use it for, the tool, then how are you going to utilize it to the greatest impact? Because there must be a reason why they didn't sell tickets in Bristol. Also, you've got to look at the pricing as well. How were they priced, those tickets, for a small city like Bristol, especially, and also the population? Like, is it just all Caribbean, or do the Caucasian people?
It was geared to the, obviously. I mean, he's got an international audience. I mean, he's got a varied audience. But what I was thinking was Bristol and Birmingham are only about just over an hour apart.
Oh, there you go. See that there? You're not supposed to have. See that there? That's one. Oh, what you've just said there, Jane. Thank you for just bringing that up, because you don't have shows back to back within. Normally, in the contract with the promoter will say you cannot have another show booked within 3 months of this date. An hour away, within a certain mile radius. No, you cannot. That's standard as well. So the people from Birmingham, from Bristol, might have already gone to Birmingham.
Yeah, I would imagine that, because
it's only an hour away. Come on.
Yeah, especially if it was a smaller venue. I'm going to the O2, man. I'm going to see the big.
That wasn't strategically done. Then now you've just shown me that part. Then that's quite clear. The people in Bristol, like I said, they're not aware of how this business works. That was just a last minute, let's try and make a fast buck type of show, what I saw. So definitely, that was very unprofessional. An hour away, 2 venues, day before, nah, not going to work. Don't try to compete with O2. Forget about that. Their reach. I mean, I saw the posters in Kensington High Street. Come on, their reach is you ain't got that reach.
What posters? What posters of who?
I saw Mikey Spice posters in Kensington.
Yeah, and Sybil says, I agree with you, Janie. Word of mouth has a big effect on how people support you in the future. That doesn't look good. That doesn't sound good.
And even
for him and Sandra and Lukey D. There was Lukey D was on the you see, Lukey D was on the Birmingham bill.
See it there? There you go. There you go.
That would have pulled.
So who's not going to go to Birmingham? Even if they're in Bristol, it's only an hour away. It's like me going from here to Tottenham. Like, excuse me.
So was Bristol doomed then?
Of course they were doomed. Straight away. If you're telling me it's an hour away, that's doomed. Forget about it. You were never
Yeah.
going to sell those tickets. You were never going to make it. And for even, again, I realise now, maybe Mikey didn't realise the radius between Bristol and Birmingham. Because remember, when you come from a different country, you don't know how far that town is away from that town.
No, but
He just had
that's what I'm saying. He shouldn't have to worry about anything.
no, he
He's
shouldn't.
going on tour, and he just goes. You know that we've been on.
Whoever booked that show in Bristol should have checked the radius, because if it's the day before or the day after, whoever booked that date was supposed to check how far away from that venue is that venue, because they're all in England. An hour away, Jane. You're looking you're planning to fail. Just that move alone. That move alone.
I mean, let's. I mean, how many hours is London to Bristol or London to Yorkshire? But then again, they're big cities. They're big cities.
3 hours.
London's a big popular city, and Birmingham's a big city.
Birmingham and Bristol and Manchester, they're all in the same, and Wolverhampton, all them places are an hour away from each other.
Yeah. They said, I've got a clip here. I won't play it though. I've got a clip here, a TikTok clip, and it's where Mikey Spice acts out on stage. See, this is what's going around. What's going around is his bad behavior. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, as much as we could, be objective and impartial about it, his bad behavior speaks for itself, and that speaks volumes for, the next time he comes here. I honestly, personally, I mean, I'm not wishing it on him, but I just think that he's going to find it quite difficult to sell tickets, because this, the memory of this is not going to go away. Definitely not very quickly. So if anybody else wants to come up, Empress, would you like to come up? Sybil Jetson, would you like to come up? Come up and let's have a chat. Let's chop it up. Did you go to any of the concerts? Did you just hear? What do you think about what you have heard? Was it not strategic enough, the way promoters had worked it? Did his tour manager do enough? Did he oversee all the other venues before he played at them? Was he responsible for collecting his money? Or should he have made sure that everything was going smoothly even before Mikey Spice touched the ground of the UK? So I'm going to play the apology again. Was he sincere? I think he was sincere in his apology, but I'm going to play it again. You tell me.
Hi, this is Mikey Spice. Just want to make something clear. For those who do not understand what happened over the weekend, that I should be here. I am here and I'm still here. I came for 4 shows. I ended up doing only 3. If you notice, my voice is not even there, but I'm trying to make it hard for you. For those who were there, for those who weren't there, I'm still here. I'm sorry that we didn't able to make one of the shows, and for my fans, my apology. I apologize in so many ways that I'm going to make it up to you next time I come back. But for right now, it's beyond my control. I have nothing to do with whatever it is. I still love you, and I hope you do the same. Love me back. See you next time.
So that was Mikey Spice's apology. Did it sound sincere? It sounded sincere to me. I don't think that any of the promoters had any bad intentions. I truly, I don't think that they had any bad intentions, but things was not planned properly, and it just went pear-shaped. But it's easy now for one promoter to blame another, but at the end of the day, whatever it has to do with the promoters, whatever it has to do with the promoters, the tour manager has the decision. So like we was discussing, did the tour manager do his job? Did he do his job? I mean, this shouldn't happen. And, has this put a stain, or how bad a stain has this this whole situation, this whole debacle put on Mikey Spice's career? Would you go and see him? Would you go and see him if he was selling tickets next year? Would you go and see him? I'm not going to give my opinion on that because I don't want to influence anybody else. But what I can say is that he is a well-known artist. He's earned his stripes, and he probably feels He said it was out of his control, and he feels that, and maybe he feels that he wasn't treated, or he has a standard and that standard was not adhered to whilst he was here.
Jamie, can I just say one thing before I sign off regarding? I just watched the apology, and it seems to me, if someone could just clarify, he had a tour manager, but did he have a manager, or is he self-managed? That's another question. I'd just like to know. Because tour managers are different from managers. Tour managers only deal with the tour. They're not managing the affairs in between, the business. They just pick up the money, right? That's their job, is to just pick up the money and make sure the artist gets their money and make sure the equipment's working correctly and the hotels are booked and the flights are booked. That's a tour manager's job, and all the little transportation in between. The management of the business is supposed to be done separately to that. So I'm just wondering if that part took place as well. How was the business side of it managed? How was the negotiations done? Because as I said, that would have been a key factor in the production side of things and the overall plan, and also factoring in the tour manager, because the manager's supposed to do that part. If there's managers that can work both sides, that's great, but generally they are separate. So I'm just wondering, because his manager didn't seem to be in that video, so I'm just wondering if he has a manager.
Yeah. Tell me quickly, before you, just, as briefly as you can, what a tour manager's job is, because we have been told that the tour manager did his job. So what should a tour manager do with an artist like Mikey Spice?
Well, after all the business has been negotiated, which normally is done by the management team or the manager, sometimes artists who are self-managed do that part themselves.
Wait, hold on, let me just say this. A lower budget program, a lower budget show.
It doesn't matter what the budget. If you've got a manager, you've got people managing your business. It doesn't matter the budget.
We're talking about a tour manager.
The tour manager just takes care of the tour, like basically making sure the flights are booked, hotels are booked, all transportation in between is booked, all equipment is supplied according to the requirements. Because normally, as an artist, he would know what how many pieces of a band he will need, what he'll know, right? And that's why you were saying that he weren't happy with the caliber of the bands. So normally all that part is negotiated in advance by the manager, and then the tour manager is then brought in to make sure that all of that is in place once they arrive. Yeah. And that's that part there. And then once the show's done, he's supposed, or when he gets to the show, like you said, that second payment, he's supposed to make sure that that is secured and that he's got that payment before he hits the stage, as you said earlier on. That's the tour manager, and also to get him back from the venue, back to the hotel, and from the hotel, doing whatever shopping he wants to do, and then back to the airport to fly, and then that's his job done, or her job, whatever. Yeah. Food and all the little bits in between, get food, get the, this type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously, there was a breakdown in some form of communication, and I was hoping that a promoter would come up here, and there are people in the bushes watching, and I think that, come up and let's talk about it, because a promoter of one of the promoters of the show, I mean, it would be nice to hear from them, what, his career is at stake. I mean, well, certainly here, because people aren't going to forget about what happened, the abusive behavior. A lot of people wouldn't understand, the background, the engineering of what makes a good show in terms of the music. A lot of people wouldn't understand that. All they felt they saw was a badly behaved artist who was complaining, moaning, talking about the sound and the band and thinking he's the cat's whiskers. And to them, he wasn't. They were hating him. And they're just going to go away thinking that, and thinking that they'd never, what a big mistake, they'd never go to his show again. I'm not saying that's the case. But this is what people may be feeling. Like I said, I know I certainly would, if you put yourself in the people that paid for tickets' shoes, I know that I'd be very upset if I paid for an act and when I got there, I was only getting the support acts. And I'm not knocking the support acts because I think they performed very well. You know, they tried their best. They worked with the same PA system that was complained about, you know. So like Sybil Jackson says, it seems lots of bits were missing in prepping for this concert, you know. And if that's the case, then, you know, I mean, hopefully these mistakes that probably cost a lot will be looked after and it won't happen again, hopefully, because it doesn't seem like the preparation, even the fact that I still, even the fact that they couldn't get into the Tudor Rose, they must, I mean, I don't know, they double booked, you know, the venue was double booked, so people were waiting outside. Listen, you know what? If my money was at stake, I'd just, you know, walk in and get them out anyway. Do you know what I mean? But had they paid for extra time to rehearse, was that their time? Had they paid for enough time to rehearse? Do you know? Or had they said,
you say pay? What do you mean? Pay for
no,
it?
like for instance, just say the show started at say 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And something was they were double booked till 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there was something going on till 7 o'clock and their show started at 8. Yeah. So shouldn't they have booked the whole day? Do you know what I mean? So that the venue is there for the day.
Was it the promoter that booked Tudor Rose as a venue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Shouldn't the whole day have been booked? Regardless of this, just so that nothing happens. The whole day should have been booked.
But again, that was cutting corners, cutting costs.
Yeah, because if the whole day was booked, then, you know, it couldn't have been double booked.
Exactly.
Right?
So that's quite clear. You can see quite clearly that people are trying to do shortcuts. You know, when you try and do things with shortcuts, this is the kind of effect that, you know, manifests.
Yeah.
Of shortcuts.
And then the poor guests had to wait outside for over an hour. But I mean, yeah, maybe the promoter would be upset with the venue for double booking. But darling,
no, but he can't be upset because if you booked your show to start an hour after another show, then you again, like I said, that's another little folly, just like what happened with Birmingham, Bristol, same kind of thing. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it's not a doctor's surgery. It's not a doctor's surgery. It's not a shop. You line up to pay. No.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, people like, you know, people don't know what goes on. I don't care what goes on in the background. I mean, I know things that go in the background because, you know, I've been around bands and acts and artists and stuff like that. But really, as a punter, if you want to call it, a ticket buyer, ticket purchaser, I don't care. I just want a good show. I just want a good show. I just want to go in there, enjoy myself, and come out after having a good show. And it just seems that that wasn't the case for many. But there were other people that did have a good show. I'm thinking that even though he did complain and people were saying that his hissy fits were inappropriate, his language was inappropriate, his vibe with the crowd was not good, did they just not get him? I mean, could it be that they just didn't get him? They just didn't get his jokes, if it was jokes. Could it be that? You know, I don't know. You know, I want somebody to come up and talk about it if you were there. So I'm going to play some more music. And if nobody wants to come up, then, you know, I suppose then we can end the show then, because, you know, it's all about, you know, you talking. It's not me, it's you talking. So I'll play this one again.
These are the eyes that never knew how to smile till you came into my life. And these are the arms that long to lock you inside every day and every night. Girl, and here is the soul of which you take in control. Can't you see I am trying to show love is right? Oh, show and tell, just the game I play when I wanna say, oh, what I do. Oh, show me, tell me, you feel the same way they do. These are the hands that can't help reaching for you anywhere you are inside. And these are the lips that can't help calling your name in the middle of the night. Oh, and here is the man who need to know where he stands. Don't you know I have done all I can, so decide. Oh, oh, show and tell, just the game I play when I wanna say, oh, girl, I love you. Oh, oh, show me, tell me, you feel the same way they do. Here is the soul of which you take in control. Can't you see that I try to show love is right? Oh, show and tell, just the game I play when I wanna say, oh, what I do. Oh, show me, tell me, you feel the same way they do. Show and tell, just the game I play when I wanna say, oh, what I do. Oh, show me, tell me, you feel the same way they do. Show and tell, just the game I play when I wanna say,
Yeah. Show and tell. That was one of his tunes. Probably one of his older tunes. I don't know many of his tunes, but you know, when you sort of like hear them, he does a lot of covers, it seems. So, oh, someone say mute your mic, guys. I don't know what I mean. I've been told that the sounds a bit, or sounds a little bit muffled. I don't know why. It sounds all right this side, but hopefully it's just not too many people have got having the same problem with the sound. I think I mean, I hope I sound clear. I mean, my mod can tell me if I'm sounding clear. Am I sounding clear? Am I sounding clear? Well, I mean, does anybody else want to, you know, before we end the show, actually, does anybody else want to come up and talk about it? You know, I just think that if no one's going to come up and talk, I don't like talking to myself, and it would be, and it was for audience participation. I just think that I don't know who's to blame. I don't know who's to blame. We you know, many people have said the promoters, people people don't really understand the engineering that goes behind doing a tour. I know it's probably very, very hard work, and problems do happen, but it was just unfortunate that literally on every leg of this one there were issues, and somewhere along the line, I don't know why a PA system can be have problems in every venue, and that, it's unfortunate, but I'm just hoping that Mikey's reputation isn't ruined here. People will remember. That's the unfortunate thing. People will remember this tour, and people may not buy tickets, that's for sure. But then again, there were people that had a very good time, but then rumors follow. Me singing in the background. Was I singing in the background? Okay, yeah. People, rumors go around. I mean, like Chinese whispers, rumors go around, and it's not good. I believe that it was probably a bit low budget. I mean, not, and I don't mean that in a negative way, because I say that because it does seem as if there were corners cut, and Sybil says it really sounds like there was a lack of organization. So there were corners cut for whatever reason. I mean, he came and he did a 4-leg tour. He only got paid for 3. I mean, I know he only performed 3, but sometimes like when you've already worked your money out, and unfortunately he didn't. But I mean, do you accept his apology? I mean, I like I said, I think it's sincere. I don't think that the artist should be 100% blamed. He said that his hands were tied, and I accept that. I accept that bit of it. But the hissy fits were a bit inappropriate to people that attended the shows. You're not, you can't do that. And many British artists wouldn't do that. The ones I have seen would never do anything like that. They would work with it. Hence, you seeing that the supporting artists worked with it. They didn't sort of like, get into a strop and walk off and say, I'm not doing this. I remember, I think it was Caroline Thompson, not Carol Thompson, Caroline Thompson had to work with it. And she felt really embarrassed by the sound because she couldn't hear herself. Imagine that being, you need to hear yourself singing when you're on stage. She couldn't hear herself. She didn't know whether she was in tune or not. That must be horrific. That must be horrific for an artist. I've never, worn a PA, done anything like that. I do things like this. I speak on mics, radio mics and stuff like that, but not feedback. She couldn't hear herself. So that must have been distressing. And then the other artists must have gone through the same thing, but they worked with it and did what they could do. They didn't get in a strop. They didn't walk off. They were professionals. And some may say they were more professional than Mikey, because he couldn't work it. Then we look at the fact that, okay, Mikey is used to a certain standard, and that's a certain standard when he does his other shows, and he wasn't getting that here. But was he in his right to express it the way he did? These are the questions we got to ask. And I hoped that we could get to the bottom of it by, inviting some of the promoters up here. I have, advertised this, and they can see it on the replay and maybe make a comment. Like I said, I've got no dog in this fight. It's not meant to be a fight. It's meant to be an objective and impartial view or discussion about the show. And, you know, we should keep it like that. We're not trying to point fingers, because everybody's got careers and we want everybody to be successful in their careers. As mainly Black people, you know, we don't want to mar anybody's chances of getting jobs or work or anything like that. But maybe even the promoters might have problems as well. But, you know, I'm just hoping that I'm going to end the show now, because it would have been nice if people came up to chat as well. But like I said, you know, you catch it on the replay. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you. It was nice to see you. Look at the other, please press the like and subscribe and share. And I'll see you next time. If you've got any show ideas, please send them, because we usually are here on a Sunday. I think I'll be doing it every other Sunday. Please send any messages to janiesfrontroom@gmail.com. And I think my moderator will put that in the chat. janiesfrontroom@gmail.com. And we'll probably be here every other Sunday, so that I can sort of like make sure that the shows are packed and we get all the guests that we need to get in. But once again, thank you very much for tuning in. It was really nice of you. And thank you to the people who watch it on the replay, because, you know, I'm sure it will be shared. Another thing, I just want to, you know, drop something. As you know, Sandra Cross is created, if you want to use the word created, a choir, brilliant choir. You know, I'm there most of their rehearsals. You know, I've been fortunate, you know, and honored to be there and do some filming there. If anybody is interested in being involved in the Sandra Cross choir, go to her page and let her know. You can inbox her, do the messenger, or just put a note there, or you can even, you know, get in contact with me at, I don't know the choir email address off by heart, but you can get in contact with me at janiesfrontroom@gmail.com. It's a beautiful experience. You know, as you get older, you don't get the nightclubs anymore. You know, you don't, but you can express yourself by going to a choir. It's more than just a choir. It's a social movement. You meet new friends, new people, do fun things, have birthdays, parties. You're appreciated and loved. You know, if you want to be a part of that movement, it's more like a movement. It's really great. You know, I mean, they're wonderful people. The choir now, the first choir that, you know, that they rehearse in South London somewhere, they're absolutely amazing. I mean, their first show was literally sold out, you know, and they've over excelled in the fact that they have only been together for 6 months. And, you know, the difference between Sandra Cross's choir is that it's all songs that she's written. It's not sort of like any songs. It's all songs that she's written, whether it's reggae, whether it's, you know, whatever genre it is. They sing her traditional ones that she, you know, that she's so famous for, but they also sing, you know, other songs that you would be really surprised that she's written. You know, it's really good. So if you want to join that choir, and she's in the audience right now, you can even drop a message in the comments after. You just contact her on her Facebook, social media, wherever you want to go. You can leave it in the comments here, but it's a great thing. It's a great thing. I'm telling you, you know, they're literally booked out. There's shows that they've got booked, and I'm sure they'll be doing an album by the end of the year. So in saying that, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the other side for another show. Okay, bye.